After conquering the monsters of hell twice over and the icon of sin destroyed, the Doom guy is left without a purpose. Broken by PTSD, unable to fit back into society, his reward for saving mankind is an eternal personal torment. However, the mother of all demons is aware of the fight put against its forces and thus decides to personally lead a new invasion. Starting at a UAC facility that had foolishly been researching the demonic a little too close to the source, it resurrects all that fell before, and undoes the work our hero did these past 2 journeys. Despite this, feeling he has no other place in the world but to face the demon onslaught once again, the Doom guy takes his gun one last time in the finale of the original trilogy. And it is magnificent. Doom 64 is the real Doom 3. Released on April the 4th, 1997, it's a continuation of what Doom 1 and 2 established and a strong finale piece to all that came before. Interestingly though, this wasn't made by ID Software like anything prior or after this title. Whilst ID were busy working on their next masterpiece, Quake, Midway were given the reins to Doom for this unique entry originally made for the Nintendo 64. Aubrey Hodges was brought in to do the soundtrack, which wasn't actually his first rodeo with the series, instead doing the music for the PS1 version of Doom 1, before then going on to do the music for the N64 versions of both Quake 1 and 2. The theme you just heard, however, is arguably the only real standout track of his contributions to Doom. Not that the rest is bad, not at all, it's just entirely atmospheric, sometimes being comparable to just white noise. It works in making the setting, but doesn't stick in the mind thereafter. Thankfully, that main theme is a banger though, so I can let it slide for now. Doom 64 couldn't get away with the large open-ended levels of prior games due to the hardware it was on, but this, if anything, just ensured that Midway would be more creative with their level design ideas. No more just Sandy and American making all the levels, creating a sense of DNA amongst them all that makes it easier to solve the more of them you played. No, this time, with Randy Estrella, Timothy Hadelar, and Danny Lewis at the helm, I found myself being caught by surprise or even just stuck trying to figure out the levels far more often. There were limitations that couldn't be avoided, however. Not every enemy returned due to not enough space to fit them in. So no Spider Mastermind, no chain gun variation of the soldiers, no Archviles, not that I missed, and no Bone Bros, the Revenants. In their place, we have the Nightmare Imp, which is just an imp that can be transparent, just like the Spectres are for the Pinkies. Yeah, great trade-off, guys. But I digress. Every gun returned plus one new baby will get along the way. So let's dive back into the madness one more time with Doom 64. If you're expecting a few basic rooms, a shotgun hidden away, and to be out of there in less than 2 minutes like with previous first levels of the series, then you're in for a sharp wake-up call with 64's first level. I mean, it does give you the shotgun for free before even the first enemy, but there's also pinkies here, a key that will have you backtracking, a surprise attack at the exit point, and get this, a secret level can be found in here. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing I noticed was the difference in visual quality on both the enemies and environments. Not every enemy redesign is made equal, as we'll see later, but for now, the soldiers, imps and pinkies look great in their new designs, while still honouring what came before. For an N64 title, this game is insanely impressive to me and felt like a genuine effort to see how far they could push the hardware that was made here. As for the guns, the game is very eager to push the pistol to one side in this game, even more so than before, which I'm fine with ultimately, but there's a part of me that feels the pistol shouldn't even be in the arsenal anymore, and the pump-action shotgun should just take its place. Especially because the shotgun is right in front of you as soon as you start, as if they want this to be your default weapon as opposed to what actually technically is. Then again, not that this necessarily matters, because even without the Berserk power-up, your fists do so much more damage than they ever used to. Maybe I just didn't use these hands enough before, but I really felt it easy to save ammo in smaller encounters by just beating the devil out of what came up to me instead of shooting them. Like, why shoot the pinky 3 times with the shotgun when you can punch them down in 2? Yeah, your fists are that good! It won't save you from a pinch, obviously, but if you're conscious on your ammo, it's a way better alternative than it ever used to be, and I'm all for it. I love the extra decision making it can offer, especially if you are low on ammo, which, considering how much harder it is to find secrets in this game, or at least harder for me, you'll probably need every round you can find eventually. It's all in all a solid opening level with a secret chainsaw, only let down by the music being nothing but sounds of the environment around you creaking and cracking, which can sort of be applied to the whole game, so forgive me if I don't bring up the music as much in this video as I have previous ones. It does get a bit better later on, but for now it's just the missing piece. As for the secret level attached to it, however, it's actually insanely well hidden. Behind the start of the level is a space that you need to be able to get to within around 10 seconds of blowing up the very last explosive barrel in the map. So the one right next to it should be left till last. Scouring the map and blowing up every last barrel, then entering the portal will lead you to map 32, otherwise known as Hectic. Hectic is designed to be a trap with a couple actually nice rewards hidden within. Any obvious reward will just outright kill you if you try to get it, including this one that zooms out the camera just to make you implode. I think marking the first time we've seen Doom Guy in a game in any sense. There's 3 rooms, and beating all 3 allows you to take a different exit than the one right in front of you. My advice would be to take the room on your right where the 3 arachnotrons are located, once again not to be confused with the Spider Mastermind, it's the littler dudes, just because there's a rocket launcher in here. After that, just leave. You really don't have anything to prove by doing the other rooms, and you'll almost certainly die trying to just take your toy and run. That said, if you put in the right cheat code, the game will actually demonstrate how to beat this level if you then wait at the title screen. I say demonstrate, but they still get beat up a little too, so there's that at least. But yeah, don't stick around here if you don't need to. Enjoy the odd secret for what it is and leave. Don't push through everything like I did just to learn you get nothing but entering the next level near dead for your trouble. As always, secret levels take you back to the level after where you entered, so leaving drops us into M2, where we will see the first of a few genuine new things Midway decided to add to help bring life to the world. A terraformer has to be activated partway through the level, where you'll see it literally break through a part of the map to let you proceed. A dynamically altering map isn't anything new nowadays, sure, but this was pretty dang cool to see pulled off in 1997, especially considering Doom's legacy up until that point. The Spectres are back in this level as well as all 3 keys and the chain gun, meaning we're right back in our groove now and only a couple levels in. The secrets are once again kind of just there, but that won't stay that way forever, thankfully. Just ammo to be found here for now. After giving you the super shotgun for free and introducing nightmare imps to you, M3 continues M2's showcase of terraforming by having instances of the level being built right in front of you. How the demons get there afterwards is a mystery that will remain within the walls, but it's still a really cool short level with a fun idea to spice it up. You can also find both invisibility and invincibility power-ups in here as secrets, so you know, natural balance of helpful and not so much. Cacodemons come back here as well, and what did they do to my boy? He looks like a pain elemental now for some reason, which will make me dread what the pain elementals are going to look like when we get to them. I am not a big fan of the Cacodemons design here, something just seems really off about it. M4 makes me wish I had an M4 in game, considering this is where Hell Knights are dropped on you, the little brothers of the Barons of Hell. There's also a unique security system where new enemies will spawn if you pick up the supercharge that's located here. A free full health restore at the cost of new troubles seems pretty fair to me. But the real treat is that another secret level is awaiting us behind a small puzzle with 4 switches. It's easy enough to figure out or just brute force it until you get it, but the game is offering secret levels respectfully more often than whatever Doom 2 had going on. This secret level is one of the 3 demon key levels that finally gives a purpose to secret hunting outside of just making a number go up. Yes, Midway does what ID didn't and gives secrets a purpose to hunt them down. In this level, you'll eventually find the only new weapon of the game, the Unmaker. For being a brand new weapon, it may at first feel somewhat underwhelming, but that is because in each secret level there is one demon key that will permanently boost an attribute of the weapon, making it an unstoppable death machine if you can obtain all 3 keys, with a higher damage count per second than literally anything else in the game. It uses plasma ammo, so keep that in mind for your plasma rifle and BFG later, but this new beauty is like a silent beast. Keep it in your back pocket and wait for when best to let this creature loose, especially when upgraded. Now, I was interested in doing secrets again, because I didn't know where these secret levels were, so had a reason to track each one down in every level just in case it led to one of these levels to then upgrade the Unmaker. My biggest complaint of Doom 2 got an answer in 64. M5! Okay, I was here for a while, admittedly. You start in the middle with 8 paths around you. Some of them lead into keys or switches for others, but you won't know what until you start clicking around. There will absolutely be points where you felt you've checked everything. I didn't figure it all out straight away is what I'm trying to say. So I wanted to take a second to instead talk about game feel. This is kind of a hard topic to talk about, as it's something you just get holding the controller yourself ultimately, but 64 is both better and worse than the originals in its feel. The levels being smaller and more claustrophobic means you don't need to race down long hallways or streets the way you might have done so before. So you don't need to sprint at full speed everywhere as much, giving you more leeway to simply notice little things in each room as you go. And alongside the controls just being a little bit looser than before, you can sometimes dance around the room shooting enemies in a more direct motion than before, leading you in and out of situations at a more constant pace. Yet oppositely, the guns feel weaker as a whole despite mostly better designs. Why? Well, see for yourself, with the super shotgun being used as my example. The super shotgun is still a deadly showstopper in 64, just as much as before. You can tell by the fact the gun pushes you back when fired that they still want you to feel this power, but you'd be forgiven for thinking it was weaker anyway, and this made a bit of a placebo effect at times that I hadn't felt in Doom up until this point. What was good not only worked but felt right. What was bad always felt less in comparison. Here, everything feels neutered, with some suffering far worse than others as a result. My point is, Doom 64 is different on a core level. I don't know if it was due to hardware or a different team being behind the wheel, but this isn't exactly Doom as you know it. It's a sequel that alters the spine in subtle ways before building its new muscle on top of it, and although at a glance it might not seem apparent, playing this not too long after the originals made certain things hard to miss. Some things felt better to get through than I thought they would, some things felt worse than they ever should have been. I adjusted eventually, but it did throw me off at first while doing so. Moving on, M6 is where you first start to see how this game is going to add challenge in its own way, since it can't have hundreds of enemies at screen at once like before. Hell Knights, and later on they'll be replaced with Barons, are literally everywhere in this game to try and add challenge when not much is going on. This is also when you're likely to first see the new Pain Elemental, and it's the most hideous thing I have ever seen. What the hell is this, and why does it have hair? If you missed the plasma rifle, then don't worry, it'll be back in your hands as early as M7. Not as eager to give it away as Doom 2, but still respectfully early all around. Reminder that the Unmaker is a part of this equation now in terms of ammo, so if you plan to use both, strategize your ammo a little so you don't get caught empty. M8 started out with what I should have taken as a warning, really. Not the enemies that rush you, no. They're having to realize one of the lights in the room is dimmer than the rest, and standing under it to unlock the way out was. I got about as far as the red keycard before realizing I didn't actually know where this key was to go to proceed. Like, at all. I ran back, checked every area, took the warp to where the blue key was, went all over every nook and cranny, and yet I didn't find it at all. I was stuck completely. Turns out what I was missing was a very short window between pressing a button and getting to a lift on the other side of a portal that auto resets after only a couple seconds. Although I managed to notice it eventually, the game didn't make it clear enough to figure that out, at least not for me. The button doesn't sound off anything when you click it, it just clicks and then resets a couple seconds after. I knew it was doing something, but I had no idea what. It was only by chance I slipped through the portal after one of the presses that I noticed it move. Oh, and the door the red keycard went to? Optional. You only use it to get open a door for another plasma rifle if you missed the last one. I'm all for letting the player figure things out for themselves, but at least to me, this felt a smudge obtuse and didn't even feel worth it to overcome. This ultimately ends with a showdown against 3 Barons of Hell. After a small scene, we officially mark the end of Act 1 and the beginning of the rest of the game. We're in hell already. No Millac to get there. No, we're already in the deep end and we're not leaving. So I suppose it'd be more accurate to say this game has 2 acts, but considering how many more levels we still have, I'd still argue there's 3. We get our first gauntlet, and just like with Doom 2, it introduces the Mancubus alongside it. There's Hell Knights and Barons of Hell around now too, but it's the same idea as before really. In M10, however, is the last missing piece of our arsenal, the BFG. And although I don't think it works any different here in terms of power, its redesign alongside of having a larger sprites for the explosion just made this thing feel far deadlier. Once again, could just be the placebo, but it felt more valid to use compared to before. It does mean you now have 3 guns juggling the same ammo source, but what's you gonna do really? The Unmaker won't be in full force just yet, but that's not the only thing worth mentioning here. M10 and M11 are just really dang fun! Like, no, not even on a Doom doing its Doom thing kind of way. The level design and enemy placements alongside your arsenal find a perfect balance of challenge and cathartic demon slaying with good level design that keeps you moving even if you are essentially just backing and forthing like 3 or 4 areas at a time. It's honestly a testament to the talent at Midway to make a game with so much backtracking in short bursts, so constant when it counts. The puzzles might be hit or miss, but once it has its rhythm, it's the most addictive game so far. M12 is centered around going in and out of this altar while circling it to find more rooms and keys to proceed. If you missed the secret level or just didn't find the Unmaker within it, well, now is the time it'll be given to you. You won't be able to fully upgrade it if you didn't do that secret level, but as if to potentially teach you more about how it works, the secret level leading to the second of these demon key power-ups is also in this level, reachable through a secret wall after getting the yellow skull key. This secret level is M30, the Lair, and houses the purple demon key. The level also has something that I didn't even notice on my first run, but is absolutely worth mentioning. An invisible tripwire that can be activated to reveal the switch to leave the level, that can only be done so by having the yellow skull key on you. This is the only time across the entire franchise so far that the key is used to trigger a tripwire. It's kind of baffling really. Anyway, with this new key, the Unmaker now doubles its laser output per second, literally shooting 2 per shot. Once we return, we find ourselves in M13, aka the switch hunting level, with a couple traps plastered around to boot. The level really tries to hide a switch in just about every single room, and they're all required to finding a way forward, turning the level into a bit of a scavenger hunt. Although one of the traps I'm pretty sure you can't get out of if you fall in, it was ultimately a calmer level, taking a break from the non-stop chaos to let you catch your breath. M14 is... oh Jesus Christ, am I in Ultra Kill? Is this the Wrath Layer? Where's the Leviathan? Thankfully, you're not actually having to swim here. Gee, can you imagine a Doom game with swimming? Oh boy. No, this is a rather heavy-handed gauntlet. You physically cannot progress to the next part of the level until absolutely everything in the present area is dealt with, just for another swarm to meet you at the door, rinse and repeat. It was a good time to experiment with the Unmaker, now it has 2 of its 3 power-ups, especially with how many Hell Knights and Barons there are at times. M15 of this really consistent Hell Act has you circling back to a central room with new threats within each time you come back. But what's of note here is that turrets are in this opening room too, so you're actually being gunned at by a threat you can't really deal with, so you have to keep moving to not get blown apart. By M16, I had such a rhythm that I don't think anything could have stopped me. I can't really say enough how refreshing it is that the Hell levels are fun in this game. Doom 1's Hell ran out of steam partway through, and Doom 2's was a borderline slapstick mess of jumbled up ideas that rarely stuck. This is fun! Doom 64 has great hell levels. I know it's kinda common that Act 2 of these games tends to be my favourites, but it really is some of the most fun I've had playing a Doom game. Some of these levels flew by that I forgot to take notes at first, but not because they were too short or that there wasn't a lot to say, it was just I didn't want to put the controller down. I wanted to just jump into the next one and keep moving. At M17, the game goes out of its way to give us just about everything within a giant space. Gee, I wonder why. Even a BFG is given away for free, and after we retrieve the blue skull key and return back, we learn why. Dad's back, and this is honestly one of the better fights I've had with him. Smaller arena and the player having very strong weapons ensures that this will be a short match for one of you, no matter what. And after how much he was downplayed to be little more than the joke in Doom 2, it's nice to see some proper build up and delivery to the Cyber Demon, a now iconic rival of the franchise. M18 is the hideaway of the last secret level in this game, and thus our last key. We just need to find it first, and oh boy did it take me a while. There's a lot of trouble here that can easily catch you off guard along the way, but there's a tripwire a little after the yellow skull key door, and if you then rush back, our ticket to the final secret area is there, making it the most secret levels in a single main campaign thus far. This final secret level is pretty impressive visually too. The game as a whole is pretty experimental with colours, but I love the blue here. For the Demon Rune, you actually have to go right before the exit and then backtrack to a switch. After hitting it, you're against the clock to get to the other side of the whole level. It's a pretty fun race that actually took a bit to figure out the routing. When done right, it looks like this. With a fully powered Unmaker now shooting 3 beams of death per shot and at an unmatchable speed, we now have gained the ability to turn off the difficulty whenever we feel like it, as long as we have the ammo. Literally, it can and will delete any threat in mere seconds, including cyber demons. I'd like to think the reason the Spider Mastermind isn't in the game is because it fucking knew what was going to happen to it if it did. But with this new power obtained, we're immediately given the perfect testing ground to try out our kitted out toy. M19 is a very short but sweet level that only asks you to find one key and you're out of there before you know it, letting you have your fun before you begin the final stretch. I decided to treat M20 as the beginning of Act 3, mostly because the atmosphere and tone shifts quite a bit now you're closer to the end of the road. As in, the atmosphere wouldn't be too far removed from a horror game. From strange echoes and the sounds of babies crying jumping between your ears, to deliberately disorienting environments making you think you're looping back on yourself just for things to not be what they seem, to the straight up jump scare being jumped by a load of pinkies, the depths of hell are as spooky as they always kinda should have been. I felt uncomfortable at times. Got the odd chill down my spine? It was great! It made for an intense build-up to the grand finale of the trilogy. Not some loud, loaded explosion of challenge, but a cold warning built on fear. M20 encapsulates this sense of dread perfectly, and the rest of the game carries it with it, warning you without having to mutter a single word. M21 was the first time I actually casually bumped into an area map on my first playthrough. There's been a few in secrets up until this point that I found on later runs, but this was the first one I originally found, so I might as well take this time to talk about the map and what's changed. Firstly, if you want the old map style, it's still there, but you just have to press the map button twice, but if not, you now get the map in colour, like an image has been taken directly above. It won't count on layers, but maps rarely actually go under or over themselves for that to be a real concern. The only thing is, on PlayStation, it's sensitive to the touchpad, so sometimes it will seemingly dart about against your will, when in reality you've just barely grazed it with your finger or something. It's a little thing, but it can be a smidge annoying. This instance of finding it handy though, because of what I previously mentioned about the design of this act. Gives you a little room to actually see what's going on and where you are amidst the chaos. I can't believe I've ever had to say this, but in M22 I got jump scared by the fucking walls of all things. That's how high the tension had gotten for me. But the rest of the level is another pretty strong one, to be fair. It's consistently impressive just how damn good this game is, even with a couple problems here and there. It has the best hell of the series and easily the best Act 3 as well. Heck, this horror vibe level design is something I'd actually prefer for this style of Doom, which will hopefully mean I'll enjoy the full horror game that is Doom 3 a little more whenever the heck I try that one out. M23 carried an interesting puzzle with it. Throughout the map are 3 doors that seemingly can only be opened by getting all 3 keys, when in reality to open them you need to use the 3 keys in a set order listed to you next to these doors. Doing all 3 results in various little challenges, but will eventually unlock the door, making it a bit of a memory test due to the long run back to the central hub, where these keys are used to open these doors. It was a bit of busy work, sure, but another pace breaker that was much appreciated. M24, titled The Escape, is the break from the tension finally in a big explosive way. To end the level, a cyber dad in the corner of the map needs to be killed. In front of him are a bunch of gates that need to be unlocked, and in process of doing so, you'll encounter 2 other dads. In concept, it's a great level due to finally bursting that bubble of horror in a big loud way. Problem is, you can shoot that gated off level clearing dad through the bars. So you can just end the level insanely quick if you do desire, which seems like quite the dang oversight. Which is a shame because I was looking forward to having 3 dads, but I only ended up being able to see one of them behind bars before I moved on, such a pity, never mind. After M24, however, something interesting happens. M25, 26, and 27 aren't actual stages. They're bonuses called fun levels that you unlock in the features menu in-game for beating each secret level. I won't cover all 3, but I do want to at least bring mention to Cat and Mouse, M25. The idea is, it's just you in a maze with Dad. There's a rocket launcher hidden with the odd trace of ammo scattered about. To succeed, you just gotta kill that cyber demon. The catch is Dad will randomly teleport, so sometimes you'll be shooting at it, and it'll just vanish, leaving you to figure it out. Made quite a surprise the first time I saw it. Dad just fucking abandoned me again, what else is new? But after M24, you're taken to M28. The Absolution. This is the final mission of the main game, meaning 25 levels total for the main campaign. It also means it's our showdown with the mother of all demons. Firstly, like with the Icon of Sin, the game will kit you out with everything if you haven't gotten it yet. Well, other than the chainsaw, but are you really using it? Come on. When you enter, there's 3 spawners creating a near infinite amount of problems. But you can actually mitigate this in another cool idea that rewards your previous secret hunting. The 3 demon key runes that power up the Unmaker are also the keys to these portal hatches. Have all 3 and you can choose to face the mother of all demons without any extra company. Just close these doors and face her 1v1. She's the fastest demon in the series so far, matching your speed completely, has homing projectiles that will always find their target eventually, and fire pillars to create area denial, limiting where you can go. She's actually pretty dang tough if you don't use the full power Unmaker in this fight. If you do use it, however, well... With the demons pushed back once again, the Doom guy being the last man standing, he knows he'll never truly escape his torment, and so chooses instead to stay, to destroy any evil that awakens for the rest of his days in the heart of darkness, ending the original story in an absolutely badass way. I can't stress enough, this is the real Doom 3. This is the finale of the original hero and closure for the character, and what a send-off to. And that about does it for Doom 64. The end of an era for Doom, and the last of the original 3 games I initially intended to cover in one video. Boy am I glad I didn't commit to that idea! I ultimately love this game. It's shorter than the other 2, but it makes up for it with some extremely creative levels, a consistent growth of challenge, even if they did get a little heavy-handed on the Hell Knights and Barons later on. The original Doom had a strong opening followed by a consistent second act just to burn out by the end, and Doom 2 had one miserable time for an opening, but pulled it back in the city before getting a little too out of the box in its final act. Doom 64 gets a tad carried away with its puzzles and backtracking every now and then, but there wasn't a single level I came out of not enjoying to some extent. All 3 acts of the story were genuinely amazing, and I think Midway really made something worth playing here. If you've never played 64, I do wholeheartedly recommend it. And that'll do from me. This project was more of an undertaking than I thought it would be, and as a result took longer to make than the others. It was worth it though, I feel, and hopefully you all enjoyed it too. If you did enjoy it, consider liking and subscribing to support the channel. It genuinely goes a long way to help this channel grow. Additionally, in the description of every video I do, you can find my Twitter for casual updates, my Patreon to support me more directly, and my PayPal if you ever feel like just leaving a tip. Everything feeds back into this channel if you choose to support me in any way. But that's enough out of me. Next we meet in the Doom universe will be with Doom 3, specifically the BFG edition, that made significant changes to the original release. But I'm a little doomed out and want to write a review for something other than Doom next, so please look forward to that whenever I get that put together. Anyways, until next time, thank you so much for watching.